As mentioned, the Prime Minister gave a major speech today at the National Press Club. Now, there's lots to get into this. It's a lot about the roadmap. It's a lot about the idea of people working together, regardless of their former or future political issues that they have with each other. But I wanted to start with something that was pretty telling to me. Scott Morrison today, inside this Press Club speech, said that he has received 100,000 bits of correspondence from Australians since this pandemic began. They are the stories of the quiet Australians, the very people who returned him to office more than 12 months ago and the very people who are at the absolute nucleus of his thinking. Here's some of the people who have written to the Prime Minister in the past few weeks.
Greg is a chef with 6 kids in Sydney. He wrote to me about his business suffering from the restrictions, saying that everything he had worked for was at risk. Sue from Jimbooma told me that other than a first home owner's grant, she had never received a cent from the government. JobKeeper saved her business, she said, and she just wanted to say thank you. And you know, I received an email from 3 children in a similar vein in Western Australia, and it completely floored me. Their father, terminally ill, and they told me they understood their dad's funeral would have to be small. And they wanted me to know that they were okay with that, because they said it will help keep hospitals available for other patients with cancers and diseases. That's incredible. Our people are amazing. And there was Rebecca, a young woman. She's also terminally ill. And she sent me this beautiful handwritten letter just wanting to let me know that she was praying for me every day.
It was moving stuff because it was a reminder about what all of this is about, what the role of government is about, what the role of free enterprise is about, what the role of free speech is about. The 25 million different stories, the 25 million different people who have had different experiences over the past few weeks. For rich people, it's been a chance to sit back and binge on television shows. For poor people, it's been absolutely frightening. For people who are all in when it comes to their businesses, it's been equally frightening, and there's the added responsibility of the people that they employ, knowing that those people desperately need that money. There's been the people who are sick, the people who are concerned. That's what this is all about. This is what it's always been about. And I thought it was important to say that at the start of the show, because that is where the Prime Minister is framing the next stage of this. The hangover from the coronavirus and the restrictions is going to be huge. It's going to go not for months, but probably going to go for years. And that's why we need to change some of the things about how our country works, or more importantly, doesn't. It means we have to confront things like we have learnt during all of this about what an essential worker is. An essential worker is somebody who can build things, not somebody who can tweet about things. An essential worker is somebody who packs your groceries, not somebody who opines about institutional racism. That's why we need to make sure that we can have a better trade system. The Prime Minister acknowledged today that the system doesn't work as it currently does. The feds tip in money, but they have no control. The states, it's up to them how much they do or don't put in. And then things are so desperately different around the country about what support you do or don't get, depending on what sort of trade you want to do. Here's some of the examples he cited today.
We will remain in Australia an outward-looking, open and sovereign trading economy. We will not retreat into the downward spiral of protectionism. To the contrary, we will continue to be a part of global supply chains that can deliver the prosperity we rely on to create jobs, support incomes and build businesses. Our economic sovereignty will be achieved by ensuring our industries are highly competitive, resilient and able to succeed in a global market, not by protectionism.
I apologise, I got ahead of myself there. He's talking about the importance of manufacturing, the importance of industries that can not just interact across cities, but across states and, of course, when the time is right, internationally. But about those TAFE differences, how's this? For some basic qualifications that have really different rules and fees and subsidies around them, depending on where you live.
example, in 2019, a student undertaking Certificate 3 in blinds, awning and security screens received a subsidy of $3,726 in Queensland, $9,630 in New South Wales, and no subsidy in Victoria unless the qualification is taken as an apprenticeship.
Now, people who live inside the bubble, or smutty pantsers on Twitter, will roll their eyes. We're having a conversation about people who install blinds. Yes, we are. Yes, we should. Also, the Prime Minister said it is time for unions and business to genuinely sit down. To not come with a shopping list, but to come with what are the rules for the road here? How are we going to interact? How are we going to build an industrial relations system that, sure, doesn't see workers sacked because the boss is in a bad mood, but conversely sees a business being able to not have to pay somebody double, triple, quadruple time and a half, depending on what day in the calendar and how many hours and all the rest of it. Now, these are the very broad brushstrokes, but there are going to be 5 different opportunities for business and unions to get together. Now, yes, of course, this goes back to comparisons about what happened in the 1980s so successfully under a Labor government. But this is something that, by the way, JobKeeper has been put in place because there were people inside the trade union movement who were willing to sit down with their ideological enemies, Team Red and Team Blue, sitting around to work out about, well, what's the best thing for green and gold? That's exactly what's going to happen again when it comes to the industrial relations system. And importantly, the Prime Minister hasn't started out here by saying, here's my shopping list, this is what I demand happens, go fix it, go do it. Instead, it's up to you. You represent the people who are the workers, or you represent the people who pay the workers.
Our industrial relations system has settled into a complacency of unions seeking marginal benefits and employers closing down risks, often by simply not employing anyone. It is a system that has to date retreated to tribalism, conflict and ideological posturing.
Now, I was interested in all of this because it shows the same Prime Minister who was willing to fight against type, fight against ideology when it came to the strengthening of the social safety net is also the one who seems to want to spend the next 12 months trying to reorganise the system. Not in a way which is take it or leave it and let's see which way Jackie Lambie votes in the Senate. Instead, let's go around the politicians and just let business and unions work it out. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's Pollyanna. I think it is something that is genuinely leadership. Finding an opportunity, finding a room and telling people that anything is possible. Because that's ultimately what I think this country's about. While some people want to bitch and moan and complain about what our history is, I'm very focused on the blank pages that are still to be written. Whether today is going to be one of those big days or a forgotten day, we'll talk about that tonight. But I like that we had a Prime Minister today who came out and talked about the letters that he got from 100,000 people that focused on the businesses that need to be able to do what they can do with less regulation, an education system that is more about practicality versus pontificating, and an opportunity for business and unions to work together, the boss and the worker.